So I'm making a homemade loom. It's just a piece of cardboard. So this piece of cardboard was just cut out of a box. It's like a banker's box. So this piece is 12 inches by 16 inches. And the first thing that I did was I found the middle and then I marked out. So I decided to do a mark every centimeter across. I liked that measurement a little bit more than half inches because they're just a little bit closer together. But if you don't have a centimeter ruler, half inches work too. So I made those going across. I didn't do the last 4 centimeters on each side, or you could skip the last 2 inches on each side. And I did that on both of the ends. So they're on the ends, like the top and the bottom, and then the long part is in the middle. After I made those marks with a Sharpie, I took my scissor and I just cut along each one, being careful not to go too deep. It's about the width of my thumbnail deep. Once I have the notches on both sides, I'm going to put my warp on. And what your warp is the string that runs back and forth and connects these little notches together. So the warp is always going to stay on here, and it's always going to stay in the same place until we're done with our weaving and we take it off the loom. The strings that go across that we actually weave with are called the weft. So we'll start by putting our warp on. This is going to be the front of my loom. So I'm going to start by putting my first string. I'm going to have plenty of extra dangling off the back. I'm going to put my first string in the notch, and then on the back side with this very first string, I'm just going to kind of cross it over, and I'll just tape it down so it doesn't go anywhere. And then I'm simply going to take my warp string and bring it down to the notch that's right across from it and put it into the notch, okay? Making sure it's in there good. And then I'm going to go around the back side and go up to the next notch on the back. Sorry if you guys can't see this very well, but I'm just going into the very next one. So then I come around to the front, I'm next to where I started. And then I take it down to the bottom, put it into the next notch, okay, and I keep going around, making sure I don't miss any of the notches, being careful not to skip any of them. I also want to make sure that it's fairly tight, but I don't want it so tight that I'm going to break my string. I'm using yarn, and that will work pretty well for us. It's flexible enough that it can be lifted up, but it should snap kind of like a guitar string when you do this, okay? So I'm just going to keep going around and around. Full strings on the back side, so we've got the same thing on the back as we do on the front. Until I have all of my loom warped up. It is important that our notches don't go all the way to the edge. We want a couple of inches on each side for stability. So I will come back and we'll do the next video when I've got all my strings put on.